Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the main event. You're back with me, Daniel.
And Aaron.
That was a strong and there, Aaron. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm excited for this review podcast. I'm sure you are as well.
It's a little delayed because of Thanksgiving. Your wife's American, so that is something that you celebrate. How was it?
Amazing. Lovely bit of gammon. Well,
Gammon?
they call it honey spiraled ham.
Okay.
But to make it over here, we had to buy gammon.
And is that a normal thing for Thanksgiving? I thought it was turkey.
No, it normally is, but we're not really a fan of turkey. Like, it's a bit dry for us, but...
Well, what I'm going to say is if your turkey's dry, you're cooking it wrong. That's all I'm saying. Everyone says turkey's dry, but you've just got to cook it right. Tip it upside down after you've cooked it so that all the juices run through it.
I have heard to do that, but...
Yeah.
Ham is really nice, though. Especially when it was glazed with honey.
Too salty for me, gammon. It's not great for my stomach.
Right.
So, yeah, just sets everything on fire a little bit in my belly. So, no gammon for me. Bacon, spot on, but not gammon.
Bacon's good. But normally for Thanksgiving, if you were to do one, you would kind of do turkey and like another meat for those who are picky, who have cooked it wrong, that they have another one.
I think normal pork's good choice. Love it. Get a bit of crackling on there. Stuffing goes with both turkey and pork. So I definitely think there's some room there for a bit of pork. My nana has pork on Christmas with her turkey, and her pork's unreal, but her turkey's dreadful. Her turkey is incredibly dry. So I just pop over in the morning and have a little bit of crackling and a bit of pork, and it's out of this world. So I don't mind a secondary meat, but I think turkey's got to be there. Yeah. That's just me.
Oh, dear. Well, anyways, before we get into all these matches, a dry and boring game week for some, a very appetizing game week for others. How would you describe your game week, Dan, if it was a meal?
I'd say it was like a lasagna. Delicious, but also very sloppy.
Interesting.
And I'd say it was like one of those lasagnas that where do you know how it can be piping hot in places, but a little undercooked in others, and there's a bit of a cold patch there. So that's how I'd describe my game week personally. Like a little disappointing in places, but ultimately I'm still eating lasagna, and lasagna's delicious.
No, good stuff. I would describe mine like you're going abroad and you've just tried some new food for the first time. You don't really know what to expect. Halfway through, you go, actually, this is really nice. So that's how I would describe my game week. And all this will make sense when we go into our teams. So, Dan, do you want to start off with yours?
Yeah, so I got 74 points, which ultimately I can be happy with. But I was in a position where I felt like I really needed to use my limitless wildcard this week because I had numerous injuries, wasn't overly confident with the players that I had. But if I'd went into this game week making no transfers, so I went with just the 10 outfield players that I think I had 10, maybe 11. So I would have benched someone the following day, whoever the low scorer was on a Tuesday. And no goalkeeper whatsoever, I still would have got 68 points. That's if I had captained Cristiano Ronaldo, which I had captained on the first day, and there was no one that I would have captained on the second day in terms of who was in my team. So including a Cristiano Ronaldo captaincy, I would have had 68 points. So my limitless wildcard was only worth 6 points, which I'm a little bit gutted with. So just to run through who I went with for my limitless team, my two goalkeepers were Mendy and Onana, both for 3 points. So Onana was in, nearly saved a penalty, nearly doesn't cut the mustard. Defense, shocker. Had Alex Telles, goodness knows how he's only got 3 points. He went on my bench. Ben Chilwell with just 3 points, so he went on my bench. Angelino with 3 points, who was in my team. Delict with 5. Hummels with 9, so that's really good stuff. Jadon Sancho with 12. There was a lot of noise about him, which I didn't listen to. Lots of people tell me to get Rice instead. Glad I went with my gut. Mo Salah, so I'm fuming I've put Salah in, to be honest, because I had Kingsley Coman in there. So we all know how that went. But in for the first couple of days of people messaging me, it was a case of, but do you think Coleman will play? And my logic was absolutely sounding. Of course he's going to play. He's played 60 minutes at the weekend. He's got a goal and he was subbed off after an hour. That is like all the indicators that he's going to play. But all the media outlets, like German media, they were all predicting that he was going to be on the bench. It's limitless. I don't really want to go with that risk. So I put Ziyech in there, and then he was on the bench. In what I'm more annoyed with isn't just taking Coleman out, but on the last podcast where I was talking about my limitless, I said I wanted both Fernandes and Rashford, but putting Fernandes back in for whatever reason didn't just cross my mind, and I went to Salah for 2 points, which was dreadful. Rashford did get 8 points, which I'm happy with. João Felix did nothing, 3 points. What a rubbish game. That's bottom of our list. If our match of the day playlist, it is rock bottom. I had Haaland with 10 points, so I didn't captain. I captained Ronaldo for 7, but then I went with a punt. So the reason I went to change Ronaldo to Lewandowski, who was my captain with 12 points, was I was in a position where I don't just want a good score. I want to push for the very top, and that's going to take risks. So my risk cost me 2 points overall, which, yeah, I'd obviously prefer those 2 points, but I'm happy with that risk. If I was happy just to have like a normally good score, then yeah, I would have kept Ronaldo with his 7. But Lewandowski, if Sané hadn't have got his goal, Lewandowski probably would have got a brace because he was just stood right behind him. But yeah, overall 74 points, so I can't complain with the score. But there's just some things that I'm sure as we talk through the games, I'll bring up as to why it was frustrating at times. My other player, I had Lucas Ocampos on the bench, and that was another panic buy. That was a panic along with the Ziyech situation. I had a couple of players where I was panicking at the last moment. I thought, I know he's playing. And Ocampos was probably Sevilla's best player as well, but no returns. Globally, I've risen about 7,000 places. I'm up to 8,297. England, I'm 148. In our league, I am 13th. But it's all quite close at the top. I'm less than 40 points behind the group leader for us, and it's about that with global rank number 1 as well. Like, it's quite hotly contested at the top. So all to play for. Still got my regular wild card for the knockout stages, which I think is going to come in really, really handy.
I finished on 75 points, which I was really happy with in terms of that I didn't have to use a wild card. I did the typical YouTuber FPL move where they talk all week that they're going to make some moves, and then secretly they've already made them and just haven't told their fans so that they get higher up the ranks.
I like how adventurous you are with the fact that we have fans in quotations. Maybe just listeners.
They're just using their move. So I was drafting my team, and then I was kind of looking at it going, I don't need to use it. Like, I know that everybody was using their limitless, so I kind of got a little bit scared. But I was just like, you know what, I'm going to save it because I don't want to make the same mistake as last year. And so I did 3 transfers. I took out Alejandro Gomez for Ronaldo. I then took out Pulisic, and I took out, I can't remember who the last person was, another midfielder though, and got in Jota and Gundogan. And so captained Ronaldo. I was debating between him and Haaland, went to Ronaldo, and yeah, just I was quite surprised because I think it was my defenders that got me, was the reason why I finished so high. Like, I didn't switch my captaincy to Coleman, which I was debating, but I didn't want to take the risk again. Kind of same with you, Dan, hearing that he was going to be benched and stuff like that. I just didn't trust it. But I had Mounier, who had 8 points, Hatterbauer, who had 9, and Pavard, who had 7, because he was subbed off before the goal was scored.
Yeah, I took Hatterbauer out of my team, obviously on the limitless, which was,
I don't think any of us saw that coming, but we'll get into that with our match preview. But the fact that I'm happy that I've been able to use my limitless in match day 3 to really climb up the ranks, and then in match day 4 I was able to keep up with everybody who used theirs. I'm really happy about that. And overall in the ranks, I am 3,692. England, I'm 68th. And in the Atalanta Fan League, I am 26th. So
Champion.
hopefully I get a jersey or something if I if I finish top of that one. But no, it is actually really close. Like even in the fan league and stuff, like the top of the fan league would only be second in our main event league. So like it's really, really close, and I'm 8th in the main event league.
Quality really, really good. I just want to give a little shout out to first place in our league, Aaron.
Go for it.
And that is, I'm so sorry if I've got your name wrong, Paulo Munoz. So his team is CR8. See what he's done there. 75 match day points, so he has a total of 330. Mendy, Jimenez, Savic, Taliafico, Gundogan, Ketelaere, Diogo Jota, Bruno Fernandes, Captain Lewandowski, Haaland, Ronaldo for this week. So really, really good for him. Obviously, 75 points. Very, very, very respectable score, but consistency is key. Yeah, well done to Paulo, taking the top spot this week. Some big movers. But I think our league's really, really competitive in terms of global ranks anyway. I mean, like I say, I'm in 13th and I'm just outside the top 1% of the game, I think. It says there's 800,000 people, so I'm guessing that. But I mean, even last year, I think we worked out that it could be 899,000 and it would say 800,000. So,
but no, overall, I think it's like good for us to be able to play against these people as well, like for like in this podcast league, because last year we were only looking at our rankings and not really knowing how close it was. Because I don't think we figured out that 1 point was huge in this game until it was like halfway through the quarterfinals or something like that.
Yeah, it took a little while.
But now that we're playing against other people around us who are in the 1%, like we know how close of a game it is. So it's all to play for. You can easily get it wrong or right. Like what you said in game week 6 last year, you only got like 30, 40 points or something like that.
We got 28 points in match day 6 last year.
And you still finished in the top 1%. So like somebody could get it wrong in our league and you could climb up massively. It's all to play for, so it's very exciting.
Yeah, 100% agree. And also, it's a fun game. Give us something to do during the week, so that's the most important thing.
Yeah, definitely. Rooting for teams I would never root for.
Yeah.
Like, I would never cheer at a Haaland goal, but now I feel like he's my brother.
It's working the other way for me as well, though, because normally I'd go nuts for a Ferencvaros goal. But obviously, with De Ligt in my team, I'm like, no!
Yeah, so,
can work both. C'est la vie.
Well, let's get into some of these games. Starting off with Bayern Munich versus Salzburg, finished 3-1 in the end. How do you think this game went? Like, you had a few players in this game, didn't you?
I think by the end of it, I literally just had Lewandowski.
Right.
So, just because I would have had Koeman, and I was obviously debating Sane with that limitless, but it was just another, I don't want to say lucky win because it's really disrespectful to Bayern's attackers because they deserve the goals that they score, but defensively they're an absolute shambles. Manuel Neuer, again to the rescue. He is the best goalkeeper in the world at the minute, undoubtedly. Some of the saves he was pulling off were ridiculous, but the defense is all over the place, and I appreciate they do have injuries, but that, if you look at the defense, obviously that young Richards at left back. Richards at left back. Alaba, Boateng centre back. He's got a World Cup winner there. And Benjamin Pavard, World Cup winner at right back. I think they can do better than what they're showing us. There's lots of speculation about Alaba going to Chelsea, and I've heard the term no-brainer being thrown around. I think Nathan sent it in our group as well, no-brainer. Those are the words of someone that doesn't watch Bayern Munich play. Now, I appreciate what could absolutely be the case is that Alaba, his mind's gone because of the contract situation. That could absolutely be the case. But if you went off his current performances, he wouldn't get into Chelsea's team. He would barely get into any top 10 Premier League team. He's been dreadful. He nearly gave a goal away in this game. He's been bad for the last few weeks, and we've talked about him, and we were bigging him up at the end of last season. He had a really bad game even against Barcelona when they destroyed them. He had a bit of a shambles, and we're like, oh, what? Okay, that could have just been a one-off. We talked about him pre-season, said, oh, he was one of their better players in the friendly that they had. I think they had like 2 or 3 friendlies. Wasn't much of a pre-season. But consistently since the start of the season, he's put in 3 to 4 out of 10 performances consistently every game week. So I don't know what's a no-brainer about him signing for Chelsea at the minute. But like I say, that might just be his head's gone because of the contract situation. And if he does get a move to somewhere else, then yeah, fair enough. His form might improve. But at the minute, he's not been anywhere near good enough. None of the back four really have this year. So I think they've got a lot to thank Neuer for. Szoboszlai missed an absolute sitter one-on-one. Got to be miss of the night, I think.
Definitely. It's either him or Werner.
Oh, God, yeah, actually, you know what? I'll take that back. Werner missed 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, Szoboszlai, one-on-one with the keeper, and he smashed it over the bar. Not entirely sure what he's doing when... Like, I appreciate giving the goalkeeper the eyes. Like, it's a very favourable move that even at an amateur level, I like to do. But not when you've got so much space to the keeper's left. He had almost the entire goal to hit, just smash it into that bit of the goal. But he's blazed it over the bar. Bayern looked okay going forward. It seemed that the chances that they did create seemed to go in for them. Really unlucky Salzburg with the second goal, the deflection, wrong foot to the goalkeeper. I thought Salzburg deserved to win, to be honest. They were unlucky. The lads went round the goalkeeper and slipped, and it's just too wide for him then to hit the way he wants, and he's hit it with his left foot wide of the goal. Neuer's pulled off some incredible saves at points in that game. And then obviously Bayern Munich get 10 men because the young midfielder gets sent off. Crazy. I don't know what he's doing. The first one in particular was so late. There's absolutely no excuse for it. The second one is a little more understandable, but it is a yellow card. It's undoubtedly a yellow card. So yeah, it's a bit of an odd one. Bayern Munich still winning, still grinding out results. Lewandowski's experience, that first goal of sniffing out a mistake by the goalkeeper from Muller's shot was just exactly what you want in a game where you aren't playing very well and you aren't creating that much. And then it's obviously difficult. Once they're down to 10 men, I don't think it's overly fair to judge Bayern. Looks good on the counter at times. But ultimately, Salzburg is too wasteful, and I don't think the goalkeeper is good enough. What do you make of it?
No, I agree with what you were saying. To say it, like, to put it all into perspective, Manuel Neuer saved 10 shots.
Yeah.
And like, so he would have got 5 points in the fantasy game, except from he picked up that yellow card, didn't he, when he was decided to be sweeper keeper.
Yeah, then he blasted the ball off the board.
But he definitely bailed Bayern Munich out of that. What you were saying about Alaba, I think we'll touch on it a little bit later, but I think the Champions League this year, especially with the amount of research that you and I do, I think the English commentators are really exposed that they do literally no research outside of the English Premier League.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot.
And like, more so in the Atalanta game, it's a lot of English pundits who are saying that Alaba will be a great addition to Chelsea. And we've obviously been paying attention to Bayern Munich for the last season and longer. I've not watched Bundesliga, but you have. And we've noticed that Alaba's performances are going and getting worse and worse. And so, like, for those Champions League fans who haven't done all this research, you know, like normal people.
Yeah, normal fans, like if it wasn't for this podcast, us.
Yeah, exactly. And then we'd be like, oh, that Gomez is actually quite a good player. I've only heard of him.
Who's he? Who's this youngster, Alejandro Gomez? Oh, he's 37.
I've only seen him on FIFA. But like, it's one of them things where like Bayern Munich, you would kind of just look at the result and go, oh, normal Bayern Munich performance. But Salzburg were really unfortunate. And unfortunately, just bad results have kept happening to them. and the result in the other game, which we'll touch on later, just leaves them in a bad place. And so I hope they do deserve to go into. I think they deserve to go through ahead of Atletico Madrid, the way that Atletico are playing. But it is unfortunate, and unfortunately, they are on the wrong side of the results too often. And hopefully, they can change it around.
Yeah, the way that the play is excellent. The issue is we've talked about it. This will be the fourth time I think I mentioned it on this podcast. They've sold their entire front line, and they do just look a little soft in front of goal. That's pretty much it. And I don't think the goalkeeper's quite good enough. And it's only going to get worse because Szoboszlai will get sold, and it's another rebuilding job. I think their manager is excellent, and I'd love to see him at Newcastle. I just think the work that he does in terms of developing players is brilliant. So I'm really happy with the other result in the group because it leaves the door open for everyone. I still think Salzburg have got to go to Atleti and win, but I think they're capable of that. Atletico Madrid are so Jekyll and Hyde. What I will say is Lokomotiv Moscow just put literally all 11 of their players behind the ball. So they were just difficult to break down, and Atletico Madrid are usually a counter-attacking team anyway. They're not really a team that'll unpick locks. So I think it fit into Lokomotiv's hands there. And I think Salzburg's style fits into Atletico Madrid's hands.
Yeah, definitely.
So I genuinely do think it's a Europa League spot that they'll need to be looking for now.
Yeah, and this result confirms that Bayern Munich will finish top of this group.
Yeah.
So obviously we need to be careful about the risk of rotation now.
Absolutely.
But we'll keep you up to date with that as best we can. And just real quick before we move on to this match, I was like, my scores were going crazy. Like sometimes I'll check them just throughout the night just to see how I'm doing. 1 minute I was high points, the next I was low because Koeman's goal was going back and forth on whether it was an own goal or not. And in the end, I think the game was just nice to him and gave it to him. I don't know what the goal.
They gave him the goal, did they? I thought it was an own goal.
I think it was classified as an own goal in the actual results, but the fantasy game gave it as a goal.
That's ridiculous.
I think so. I'm just going to check it real quick.
The game is so stupid.
No, according to Google, it was ruled as Koeman's goal. I think it was an own goal, though. When I watched it, I thought it was an own goal because if without the defender's influence, the keeper would have saved it.
Yeah, I suppose there is the argument if the shot's on target, then it's the player's goal. But was it not pretty much straight at the keeper? I don't know. I haven't looked at the trajectory of the shot. It doesn't matter ultimately. And you know what? For the spirit of the game, yeah, go on, have the goal points, spawn.
Next game we want to go on to is a Ole Gunnar Solskjaer masterclass. Man United 4, Istanbul 1. Fernandez's goal, his first goal. What a strike. I think, because he normally takes the corners, doesn't he?
Yeah, but I think with Tellez on...
Yeah, frees him up.
Is taking them now.
I think needs to be a tactic going forward because I can't think of anyone else who can reliably shoot from distance other than maybe Pogba. But he's not done a long shot goal actually he's probably not scored in ages. So other than Pogba, you are looking at Fernandez as being the only long shot threat from Man United. Rashford from free kicks. But I think that needs to be a tactic moving forward. But overall, Manchester United in the first half were just dominant. And then I think when they kind of knew that they were going to win, there was a few good shots from Istanbul. Scared a few Man U fans with a crossbar and free kick and stuff like that. But I enjoyed the game. What did you think about it?
Yeah, Man United were mesmeric for the first 20 minutes, weren't they? Mm-hmm. And sometimes the question, is a team playing that good or is the opposition playing that bad? And most times it's somewhere in the middle. I generally just think full credit to Man U. I don't think the outfield players of Istanbul did that much wrong. Man United were just on it. And I had a feeling they would be because you can't go away 2-1. Sorry, go away and get beat 2-1 and not have your pride stung. So I always felt, which is why I was thinking both Fernandez and Rashford, and I just went with Rashford stupidly. But yeah, Fernandez's first goal was ridiculous. The second goal, the keeper's put it on a plate for him. Pure luck. Let's be honest. Really good run from Cavani just to sort of put the keeper off. Tellez is really unlucky not to come away with a couple of assists in this game. That's where it goes sometimes. Man United even had a goal disallowed. Fernandes, outrageous ball through to Rashford. Marginally offside, but he's put it through the keeper's legs. So it could have been even worse for Istanbul. Questions about Rashford being offside for the penalty. It looked offside, but I didn't look at any VAR reviews or anything like that because I didn't need to. Mm-hmm. It wasn't given, so who cares? And rightfully so. You know what? If it's not clear and obvious, then I think that's a good use of the rule. Give the advantage to the attacker. Like, it was so close. Like, he's not goal hanging, is he really? Mm-hmm. When one of his... To be fair, I think it might not have counted because even if any part of your body's in your own half, I think that might... So even though half of your body can be offside, if the other half's in your own half, I think that I don't think you can be offside if any part of your body's in your own half. So that might be why it was allowed. But either way, yeah, it was a pen, really well dispatched, although you give it a bit of the Bruno Fernandes's, which had my heart going.
That seems to be the way to take penalties these days, isn't it? You've got to do like a cute run-up. There's not really any Jamie Vardy's anymore.
I don't see many Germans of the 1990s doing that when they used to smash them straight into the stanchion. I'd take a classic pen, just smash it as hard as you can or give the keeper the eyes. If you want to penenka it, make sure you score. But I'm not a huge lover of the hop, skip, jump. You can still give the keeper the eyes without doing that. So, I mean, Fernandes and Jorginho, keepers are starting to figure it out. So they've been missing more and more. And Fernandes, by the grace of keepers coming off the line, is getting second pops at them. My biggest disappointment was with David De Gea. The commentator said, fabulous save by De Gea. And even if he had have saved it, what the hell are you talking about? His position was so bad. We've talked about Alisson before on this podcast, in that he never seems to make an outstanding save. And it's because his positioning is usually so good. Why is De Gea on that side of the goal? Does he think a left footer is going to put it into that top corner? Let him try. If he scores that, he scored one of the best goals of the season, and no one's going to go, ooh, goalkeeping error. But to be stood so far over and leave all of your near posts open. I mean, look, I sit around in my pants most days at work because working from home. So, maybe I'm not the person to get goalkeeping advice from, but some things are pretty obvious. And especially when you see the angle from behind the goal. Sorry, not from behind the goal, like from the free kick taker's perspective. It's just crazy. But more so, I'm just annoyed because you've ruined Tellez's clean sheet for us. So I was fuming at De Gea, absolutely fuming. I don't know why Dean Henderson didn't get another shot. Wasn't like the goals last time were his fault.
Yeah, I'm just confused why. Like, I know that De Gea has done like really good service to Manchester United, but Dean Henderson was he was the guy coming in like last season. Like, the fact that looking at Sheffield United then, now looking at them now, like, he's definitely a big influence in that. Obviously, there's more problems, people figuring out how they're playing, stuff like that. He should be getting more of a chance. Like, even like Romero, was that his name? Like, the other backup goalkeeper, like, even he was he was playing all the cup games. Like, how come it's changed now that you have a better backup goalkeeper? Like, I know that. Well, I think they just need a draw now to guarantee qualification, but it's just one of them things where De Gea is the Premier League, Champions League keeper, while Henderson will be FA Cup, League Cup. So they're doing...
Not great for his development, is it? Going from playing every game for Sheffield United to playing 8 games for Man United in a season.
No, and then the worst part about it is that you'll not have an opportunity to play with this defence. And then when he does a mistake, they'll be like, oh, Dean Henderson has went really downhill, hasn't he? Like, he hasn't lived up to his potential. Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious why not. But that's just me.
Yeah, no, I think you should go. I think you should. Mason Greenwood came on and was really lively. That's really good to see him back.
100%.
Tough month for him.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's him back at his best. Nice to see Dan James get a goal. He gets some stick. I remember at the beginning of last season, Man United weren't very good and he was like their one bright player. And then other the rest of the team caught up and he had a bit of a dip and everyone just turned on him.
Mm-hmm.
He's a young lad. He's very much a left winger, not a right winger, but he was always played on the right. I think he's been unfairly treated, to be honest. Yeah, he might not be David Beckham, Cristiano Ronaldo levels, but I don't think he's as bad as what some people are making him out to be. And he's a person at the end of the day.
Yeah, I don't think he was bought.
And also, Dad died last year. Like, his dad died, I'm sure it was literally a week or so before his debut against Chelsea. And obviously, we don't know what family issues he's got. He's moved away from Wales to England. I know it's not that far, Swansea to Manchester, but there's a massive river in the way. So, yeah, I just think some people need to give the players a little bit of benefit of the doubt sometimes. And honestly, chuffed to bits to see him score a goal. And it was nice seeing Mason Greenwood play a part in that as well. So happy for them after probably some tough times for them.
I think just on that point, I think a lot of people either play too much FIFA or play too much Football Manager and think that the transfers just work like that someone just moves team and then just plays at the best all of a sudden.
Yeah.
For me, I moved to America when I was 18, moving away from family and stuff. Like, you go through a big culture shock. And that was to America. Like, it's not a different language. Like, the culture's not that different. But I still had to go through that huge adjustment. And being, like, he's had lockdown, so he can't just go and drive and visit his family all the time.
Because he's not a Conservative MP, unfortunately.
But he's 21, moving away from home. Like, and just people need to just relax.
He's probably worried about his mother. Like, if his dad's died, if my stepdad died, like, obviously I'd be devastated, but I'd be twice as concerned and preoccupied with how my mum would be taking it.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think people just forget about the person behind the player.
Yeah, I agree.
And just think that they're just a robot, and because they earn so much, hold them to an unrealistic standard of being a person. And like,
let's face it,
we're all
Dan
guilty
James
of it.
isn't on 300 grand a week or anything either, is he?
No, he's not. So I think it's just one of them things. And like, even I'm guilty of it. We had a conversation about Greenwood this past month, and like, we do find ourselves being guilty of it, where where's the person, like, and where's like the young person trying to find his way in a very, very harsh environment that even a 30, 40-year-old normal person, if we were put in that situation, we would not be able to withstand the pressure.
Yeah.
So we kind of forget that sometimes about sports and stuff like that.
I think sometimes we half forget, you're exactly right, that, you know, that this is a teenager going through puberty, like, making decisions, being given an abhorrent amount of money, most likely, and just being told to deal with it, whilst there are billions, because of being a Manchester United player, the amount of fans they have, even in India, let alone in the UK, and then America, one of the biggest clubs in the world, billions of people making comments every day about you. But also, and this is, I mean, you do a podcast, Aaron, about like, Why Can't We Talk? Obviously about mental health and things like that. And one thing that for me is a massive thing with social media, which is why I've came away from it, from Instagram, from Facebook. I actually never had Twitter until this podcast, and it's just all I follow is fantasy football stuff, and some people still annoy us. But it's we all think there is an impossible standard of physical appearance, which is really bad for social media. So curves and fake boobs and abs and filters and all this sort of stuff. But actually, there is a really toxic infatuation with perfection on a moral and personal level. So one reason why, look, as a 31-year-old man, I can say about Greenwood in Iceland was unprofessional. He shouldn't have done it. It was objectively wrong. But why I didn't lose my head over it is because I know at 18 what I was doing. Like, and every single person on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook has done things that they aren't proud of, things that they regret, things that they need to work through, imperfections in their personality, but we have to profess our moral benevolence on social media. We have to be this perfect person. You can't say anything out of line. You can't do anything out of line. And they just jump on the first thing like a footballer will do. And yeah, sometimes it is morally wrong and sometimes it is unacceptable. And especially when you get older players, you go, well, actually, you're a 30-year-old bloke, less excuses. But we don't know what it's like being an 18-year-old earning millions, having millions of girls like at your disposal, having people constantly criticizing you physically at a match and then on social media and then in the papers, wherever you go. We don't know what that's like. And I know that without that pressure, I've done morally questionable things in my life, as is most likely everyone listening to this. That's kind of what I don't like about social media. It's a place for everyone to pretend that they are saints. And it's not the case.
Yeah, have you heard of I know this is really off topic, but have you heard the analogy of the boiling crabs?
No.
So if you got like a big pot of boiling water, well, it would be cold first, but you fill it up with loads of crabs. Then you put the boil on, and as the water starts to heat up,
boiling frogs, man, Aaron.
No. This is crabs.
This is crab. Is it the same as boiling frogs, though?
No. I know the one with frogs that they'll stay in the water, but with crabs,
okay,
right?
fair enough. Spot on.
So with crabs, what they'll do is they'll start to feel the water get hot, and what they do is create a ladder to help people get out. But then once they they encourage each other as they're escaping. But as a crab gets close to escaping, the crabs will pull that crab back down so that they don't escape, because they're like, hey, what about us? And as a result, all of the crabs will die, because even though they were encouraging when things were going well, they will pull you back down because they don't want you to succeed more than them. And I feel like that's what social media can become, is that
100%.
We're like, oh, we're really happy Greenwood's scoring for England. He's scoring for Manchester United. He's doing really, really good. But then when he's still in his social life, we start to pull him down, try to pull him down back to our level. And we're like, oh, he's doing this. He's an awful person, like stuff like that. And I feel like that's one of the biggest crutches about social media, is that we want to see people succeed, but not more than what we do. And so the analogy of the crabs.
Yeah. And obviously what you did in Iceland was wrong. Like, I'm not saying, oh, we should give him a pat on the back at all, but just a bit of empathy. Yeah. Like, I'm not being funny. If you were 18-year-old and a couple of girls like, oh, come on around, and you are single. To be fair, the one thing that I really disagree with is that I believe Greenwood and Foden weren't single. So, very, like, I would never, like, that's really, really bad crack doing stuff like that. But again, teenagers, they make mistakes, and what they need are their parents to sit them down and talk to them like any other parent would, their friends around them to say this is wrong, not 6 million people saying you should be sacked and that you're this, that, and the other.
Yeah, exactly. But on that note, follow us on Twitter, UCL Fantasy Pod.
Yeah.
Subscribe to us on YouTube. Oh dear. One off topic there, but Man U, top of the group, because they face Paris Saint-Germain or Leipzig, a draw will guarantee them qualification. So they're in a good spot. On to the next game, which is one of your favorites. Juventus 2, Ferencváros 1. That was close. It was close to a draw. Morata had to save the day. Not very often you have to say them words, but
he saved them every game week.
It's true. If it wasn't for Morata against Barcelona, Juventus would have just been walked all over.
Yeah. You got the 2 winners against Dynamo. You got the first 2 in the last game against Ferencváros.
It was a shame he didn't start. Dybala hadn't been playing, and all of a sudden we're going to give him a Champions League start. I can see like why, because if it had worked, he could have got his confidence back. But why don't you just play your informed players? It just doesn't make sense. But maybe that's just the naivety of Pirlo as a young manager. Last minute winner to score. I did want Ferencváros to do well, but Ronaldo let a lot of people down. We were kind of both legs. We were kind of expecting Ronaldo to do more, but in the end, they've won the game and they've qualified. So, but what did you take away from this game?
That Juve tactically are all over the shop. I mean, let's talk about Ferencvaros's goal. There's no holding midfielder there, so De Ligt runs out, loses the header. Who's number 13 for Juventus, the centre back? Whoever it was, one of them fell over, but then didn't really put in a shift to get back, and at no point looked over his shoulder to see where the danger was in the box. I was watching, did not look once to see where the danger was in the box. So defensively, it wasn't good. Wasn't good at all throughout the game, but for that goal in particular. But I don't feel like Juventus got much protection. Is Weston McKennie meant to be their holding midfielder? Pirlo's getting it all wrong for me. McKinney's just a midfield destroyer. Obviously, he's good on the ball, but primarily, that's where he should be playing, protecting their weakened defense as much as possible.
Yeah, like they played him as a winger. They played a 4-4-2, but I don't know whether the thinking behind it was that they would push up to a 4-3-3 if needed. Like Bernardeschi would become the left winger, Ronaldo through the middle, Dybala on the right. The thing is with Juventus that so far this season is that they've not settled on a formation or starting 11 all year. Like it's constantly changing, so it's impossible to predict this team. Like on the weekend before this, Buffon was the goalkeeper, and he had been for the last few league games. Like, how on earth is Chesney meant to make a relationship with? I mean, 3 of the back 4 are fullbacks. De Ligt was the only centre back, and actually Cuadrado's a winger.
Yeah,
that defense needs protection. De Ligt can't do it all by himself. Alexandro is very attacking, so you need someone to cover there, which is why Matuidi was so good when he used to play there. He would always drift into that left back spot when Sandro would attack. But you've got Chiesa on the bench. You've got Kulusevski on the bench, who are all really good wingers. Like, you could have easily played one of them over Dybala, in my opinion. I think...
Or not had Weston McKennie on the wing.
Yeah, exactly. And so if you were to play a 4-3-3, but I don't know whether he kind of... I think twice where he's kind of just looked over Ferencváros and kind of went, oh, that's an easy win. Let's just try.
He hasn't, but I don't know what he's doing dropping Morata either.
Yeah, I don't know. They don't, as far as I know, they don't have a difficult game coming up. No, they've got Benevento on the weekend, and
sounds like a right back.
Yeah, he does actually. Well, sounds like a Harry Potter spell, to be fair.
Yeah, or like a coffee size.
But they don't have any difficult games coming up. You could argue the Turin derby, not this weekend, but next. But that's not difficult for Juventus. It hasn't been for years. Torino aren't as good of a team this year as they have been. So I don't know what he's doing.
I thought Ferencváros' keeper was, until the very last kick of the game, was absolutely outstanding again. Some great saves, stood up big, so that on a couple of one-on-ones in that second half when Morata was on, I think they hit the post a couple of times as Juventus. And Ronaldo going around him and he manages to get his hand to the ball. I thought he was absolutely fantastic for, like I say, the entire match until he gets megged from a header. So I think he is one to watch, genuinely. This is a goalkeeper that I think some teams should be looking at. Maybe not like, obviously, the elite teams or anything, but he do a job at some clubs for sure. It's better than Jordan Pickford.
Oh, 100%. That's not hard though.
And then Cuadrado, a couple of assists. In a shout out to Ronaldo's first goal because it was class, but not much else to say. It was more so just the drama of it all, and Pirlo is struggling, and I don't think he's got anyone to blame but himself. This isn't Frank Lampard of last year where there's a transfer ban and he'd lost Eden Hazard and he had a bunch of championship players come up and he had to work with them. I appreciate, obviously, they can't be huge in the transfer market, but they have good players in every position, but he can't even play players in the correct position, and his rotation is dodgy. You don't need to rotate your keeper. I'm sorry. You just don't need to. fair enough if it's for like, again, if it's going to be, right, you're playing Champions League, you're playing Serie A because you're still playing once a week, which is a normal amount of football for a goalkeeper to play. Absolutely fine. But yeah, like coming in bits and troughs, no thank you. Next game.
Yeah, so the next game, moving on, Mönchengladbach 4, Shakhtar 0. Just another demolition of Shakhtar. I didn't expect.
It's all going wrong, isn't it,
Yeah,
mate?
like, I mean, what's the saying? Like, fool me, like, if shame, like, oh, what's the saying? Like,
it's fool me once, shame on me. No, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Exactly. Like, I don't know why I expected any different, to be honest, but on the last podcast, I did think that it was going to be closer than what it was.
Technically, it was.
Yeah, technically, but it's still a demolition. I wouldn't say it was a close game at all.
I can't remember what I said. I think I said 3-0 or something.
Yeah, I think you said it was going to be a comfortable win. Fair play to them people who had went as a option. 4.3 got 15 points this game week. He hadn't played any of any of the Champions League so far. He scored a goal, clean sheet, a goal outside the box, 8 ball recoveries. Unreal. Selected by 0%. So if someone had him, then they don't do point.
Kudos.
0 point, whatever. I'm sure somebody must have had him in the team. But also Elvedi, 4.5. He got 14 points. Mönchengladbach defenders just coming in clutch. Like,
class.
Yeah, all of them doing really, really well, and all of them are cheap. Mind you, I wouldn't get them in. I mean, I would potentially against Inter Milan, but we'll touch on them later.
I think Mönchengladbach will win the next few games.
Yeah. I just don't know about the defenders. But then again, with them being so cheap, I mean, it's worth it.
With a punt.
I mean, over the last few games, a defender has scored for Mönchengladbach.
Yeah. Take
a shot on them. But we'll try and find out which ones are the best for you for next week.
Yeah.
But
we'd had Lars Stindl on the preview podcast as well, and what did he get, a goal and an assist?
Yeah, he did. That's 25 points in 2 games against Shakhtar for him. Like,
class.
He's found his preferred opponent. Like, he was subbed off again, and we said that was always a risk. He played 81 minutes, but he didn't need to stay on. Like, the game was finished. He got his clean sheet bonus. He got his assist, goal scored, and got 3 ball recoveries. Just
class,
unreal.
Man. Absolute class. Also, big shout out to Donald Breland-Bolo for his overhead kick.
Oh, yeah. Unreal.
Unnecessarily spectacular, and that's what I love to see. For the glory of football and no other reason. What, I'm 7 yards out? Flamboyance. Overhead kick. Smashed it. Absolutely loved it. Yeah, Mönchengladbach were just completely dominant in this game. And I think they're going to romp to the top of the top of the league for this one. Genuinely, I think they're going to absolutely smash it.
And they were the 4th seed coming into the draw. It's crazy.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy. But they deserve it. Unbeaten so far. Unlucky not to have beaten Real Madrid, in all honesty. A bit of a slow start against Inter Milan with 2-2. But yeah, they're really starting to come to their own. I think the beginning of the season is sort of everyone's pre-season. And now that we're like getting further along, we're getting a much more clearer indication of form, and players are coming into it and things like that. Thuram winning the penalty, really clever. So well done if you had him in your team, at least for a couple of points, if not nothing spectacular. Plie just came back from COVID, I believe, which is why he was on the bench. So I think they're a great team to go for. And I don't think they'll fear anyone, even the big teams. I don't think there's that many teams that are going to be overly potent against them anyway. They're just really well organised, classic German team.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think you can look at Inter Milan as a threat, to be honest. Like, yeah, Lukaku might do like something good.
Inter Milan provided nothing but petulance. It was a ridiculous penalty to... we'll talk about that game later. Sorry.
But like, in terms of Mönchengladbach versus Inter Milan, which I think is the next game, I'll just check real quick. But
yeah, it is. But Mönchengladbach are going to have a much harder time because Vidal's suspended.
yeah, exactly. And so I think Mönchengladbach seem to be the budget options to do really well. I think even
Yeah.
in like the round of 16, because they have a good chance of finishing top, they could get an easier game in the round of 16. Like they're going to be some good options there to be able to fit in some premiums, especially depending on the Inter Milan result. Because obviously game week 6, when teams have qualified, I think Mönchengladbach are going to be some good options to have for game week 6 against Real Madrid.
Yeah.
So
totally agree.
But Shakhtar, they've kind of fallen off the rails, haven't they? Like, I think we kind of got...
Yeah, they're done. Stick a fork in them. They are done and dusted.
Yeah.
Like you say, I think they genuinely were so sharp at the beginning because they had played more games. Like the Russian and Ukrainian leagues and stuff started early, didn't they?
They had played a ton of games in before.
They had played like 10 games, so they were just fit and healthy, whereas everyone else was slow starters, which I think is something to bear in mind for the next couple of games when looking at any Russian or...
Yeah, 100%. Okay, and then on to the next game, Barcelona versus Dynamo Kiev. This game did throw a lot of people off Barcelona. I mean, they did announce that Messi and Roberto weren't going to play. They weren't in the squad. De Jong. They weren't going to be in the squad because they had played too many matches and needed a rest. I mean, they're not doing well. I don't know what your opinion is on this, Dan, but for me, you would kind of want your players to keep playing with each other. But I think Messi's one of them players where, with all of his brilliance, for some reason, when he's not on the field, the team plays better as a team. I don't understand why.
I think it's very easy. Messi is a supreme individual talent, obviously, and when they've been successful, he's been in a really good team of players, but that worked to a system, and he was happy. And because of that, for example, under Pep, they would play a really high press and they'd hunt in packs. And Messi used to work hard, used to work really, really hard. Now he's one of the laziest players I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And when they have the ball, they play with 11 men. And when they don't have the ball, they play with 10, which obviously you're at a disadvantage. So I think as soon as you've got players on that are trying, as soon as you want in possession, you've got an advantage over having Messi. Now, let's get things clear. Messi, you need against brilliant teams because he is brilliant and he's the one that'll do something. But when you take out Messi and you put in Trincao, for example, and you look at Barcelona's team, their players are still better than Dynamo Kiev's teams, but now they've got 11 versus 11 when they're not in possession. So just if you looked at it from like that sort of perspective, I don't think it's any wonder that they do better without Messi when they're playing against a weak team at the minute. Historically, no, because Messi has always worked hard, but at the minute he's not. So because of that, I just think that numerical advantage out of possession is helping them. And they've got the quality anyway to score against weaker teams. They still need him against big teams because they won't outplay some teams, Barcelona, and they need his genius.
Yeah, definitely.
One of those.
Yeah, it's just an interesting balance. And Braithwaite, player with the most amount of points this game week. So
yeah,
well done to the 0% of teams that had him in.
No one's got it. If someone's got him in, then let us know at UCL Fantasy Pod.
Because we need to get you on this podcast.
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, he wanted Messi's number 10 and he's managed to get Suarez's number 9.
Yeah, exactly. But no, fair play to the 9% of players who had Dest in their team.
Class. I think great finish as well.
Yeah, he's a great talent. I can't believe that he chose to play for America over Holland and all that drama that went on. I think he would have done really well. I mean, he's going to do well for either team, but he's more likely to win something for Holland, that's a different story.
Yeah, I think he preferred the dressing room for the USA team. I think that was what it was. The USA dressing room really brought him along for the ride, and obviously they've got McKinney, Pulisic, so they've got some good players. But yeah, he's great. He's absolutely fantastic. His goal was taken like a striker.
Yeah, 100%. He's got great ability on the ball.
Yeah.
And I think he's a good option moving forward because Barcelona are going to rotate match day 5 as they've proven match day 4. I don't think anything's going to change because of how bad they're doing in the league. They're going to keep their strongest 11 for the league now that they've definitely qualified and they don't need to worry about the points until facing Juventus. And so I think Dest, Braithwaite, some of these cheaper players are good options for game week 5.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be really interesting to look into. Probably going to have to watch the highlights a few times for this game, I feel, leading up to the preview show. But I think Dest is one of them players that he's going to be, I think you'll have to get him in your team. And then Ronald Koeman will probably play Roberto next week, but it is what it is.
But he's not, at least he's injured. Well, that sounds horrible, but Roberto's injured for a while.
All right.
So I do think they are struggling for fullbacks. One of the centre-backs I don't think I've ever even heard of. So yeah, they're a little weird. Alaba, shot, got an assist. Griezmann scored a really good goal. Not too sure why he's dancing afterwards when there's no fans. It's 4-0 and he's been garbage. Like just, I don't know, fist bumped the air or something. Like you've exercised some demons, but he's just dancing around like they're not mid-table in La Liga and he's not been a complete flop so far. Just put your head down, like smash the air, get the ball back in the halfway line, try and get a second. I mean, he didn't even take the pen, but fair play because Braithwaite's penalty was taken really, really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't like, this is an unpopular opinion, I think, but I would never put Griezmann, even when he was at his best, in like the top tier of strikers. I've just never been a fan of his.
Striker. He was more of a
Firmino type.
Forward, but he's always played off someone or he's played on the left wing.
Yeah, and
he is better through the middle, but I disagree. I think when you win the World Cup and you're playing every game as a striker, he carried France quite a lot in the Euros where they got beaten in the final. And at Atletico Madrid, he was for a few years world class, like really world class. It's just since the World Cup, the France curse has hit him. We've talked about the French curse. And it struck him the hardest. We were him and Pogba.
Mm-hmm. Like he's definitely a world class talent. I just don't know whether I would have ranked him in that. But then again, I've not really looked at who all the strikers were at the time and stuff like that. But I think
he's been quality, just not since he's moved to Barcelona, or maybe a couple of months before he moved as well. Since the World Cup, since he won a World Cup, like every other France player, hence the curse.
Yeah, exactly. And like even when he was at Atletico Madrid, I was kind of just like, Griezmann. I don't know. I just didn't like him as a player. But yeah, I agree with you with that. Just stop dancing. We'd like to see you do that a few more times in the league before you go back to being the Griezmann and where you can dance.
He was just too OP on like FIFA 16, 17 on Ultimate Team.
Yeah,
like, you got the ball from 70 yards out, just tap circle and it's in the stanchion with Griezmann. Do me head, not gonna ever afford him. Next game, speaking of unbelievable world-class strikers, he's unfortunately going home alone again because he only scored 2 goals, as his coach joked with him whilst being subbed off. But Erling Braut Haaland, wow.
What a player. He's just unbelievable. And like, would you say that he's the must-have striker in the game again?
Yes. At the minute, yes. Because I can't see, I don't know who's Dortmund's other like out-and-out strikers are. They've got a young lad.
Well, they've only got one striker on the game. Like if you clicked Dortmund and then forwards, Haaland is the only one.
They've got Royce, who's a midfielder on the game who can play up there, but especially with their group not being done and dusted yet, I think it'll be different in the knockout stages. Round of 16, yeah, but I think they might come unstuck as a team as they get harder opposition, and then he still needs chances if he's going to score. So it's one of them. But I mean, he was gifted his second goal by some outrageously bad defending, but still, he's chucked it away. He was really, really lively. The first goal that he scored, really well put away. It's just unfair on the goal. You can hear the goal screaming with pain as he smashes it in every time, especially with no fans there. Sound of the net's class. When he scores, it's just got a Haaland sound to it now. But Jadon Sancho, for me, was the star of the show. Everything that Dortmund did
free kick
through him. And the free kick was world class. World class. I mean, there were some outrageous goals in this round. Like I say, Fernandes, this goal, Breland Bolo's goal. Someone else scored a worldie. Can't remember. I'm sure we'll come to it. Oh, it was Gravenberch for Ajax. He scored a worldie. So 4 out of 5 unbelievable goals. But yeah, just Sancho looks like he's sort of trying to get back to who he is now, driving at the defence. Played some great balls through for Haaland. Did he get an assist in this? I think he got an assist.
Yeah, he was
the assist for Haaland, wasn't he?
Yeah, he finished with 12 points, got an assist, goal scored, goal outside the box, clean sheet.
Class. And Dortmund, not wonderful defensively, still look shaky at times, but ultimately they want another clean sheet, so who cares?
I wasn't expecting it. Like, I remember going in, like, when we were doing our season previews with, like, Nathan and stuff like that, saying who we're going to pick. And I was saying, Dortmund have been really good defensively in the league. We were all kind of going off each other, saying that, yeah, but we don't expect that to continue. It's just early form, stuff like that. But they've actually, even though they're not performing great as a defensive unit, their defenders are racking up a ton of points from a fantasy perspective. It's kind of like Bruno Fernandes in FPL. Like, he keeps missing penalties, but he keeps getting a chance to retake them. So he ends up scoring them and getting all the bonus points, even though in real life he's not doing as good as what he can. And I think this is what Dortmund are in this game. That they're not performing great, but they keep getting points. Hummels is unbelievable on this game.
He's been class in real life. Germany want him back. Apparently all the fans, after their 6-0 hammering, and he's back to form, Hummels, now. He was really good in this game as well, breaking up the play.
And Meunier is doing well again on the game. I'm happy I got him in. A clean sheet and then 6 ball recoveries. And Guerrero, 7 points. Akanji, I got 8 points. So, like, if you selected this matchup, you've got Sancho 12, Haaland 10, but then the next 4 players is their back 4 and goalkeeper. Like,
yeah,
solid.
Next game, let's try and fly through these now, Aaron, because I think we'll be doing this for about an hour and a half. People will be turning off soon. So we've got Chelsea v Rennes. I mean, Cameron will be happy because he accidentally left Garassi in his team. Bullet header. Rennes always looked like they were going to score in this game. Chelsea just looked shattered. But we need to talk about Timo, Che, Adams, Werner, because this guy is missing sitters every week now. He missed a couple against Newcastle, missed a couple the week before, he's missed a couple here. He's blazing balls over the bar from a few yards out. He's lucky that Giroud's goal is so underrated.
Yeah.
Because if you put a still frame of this, of that image, whether the ball's in the air or about to hit off Giroud's head, you'd be like, well, that ball's never going in the net. And somehow he's managed to do that. But Timo Werner has trickled the ball at the goalkeeper from, he's 12, 15 yards out or something. It's not really good enough. If I was looking at that team when Pulisic is fit, I'd much rather have Pulisic than Werner. And I appreciate you might want Werner up front, but Tammy does a job up there. He's getting a lot of chances, but he's missing so many of them. But then again, he can turn it on as well. He didn't score against Newcastle, but he absolutely ripped us apart at times. So I do see it as an overall, but he needs some finishing practice, big time.
Yeah, and that's the thing. On his day, he is such a good finisher. But I don't think he's been rested since he's been bought in, has he? Like, I think he's played literally maybe not every minute, but he has started every game, I think.
I agree. That might be it. It just might need to be taken out for a week, put back in, Because he has scored, but he just needs to be a bit more prolific. And it was academy players, again, doing the business for them. Mason Mount, what a pass. And then Callum Hudson-Odoi, composure. It's such an underrated quality.
Yeah,
Puts it in the net. And he was the one that put the ball across for Werner to miss his sitter. So yeah, really, really good work from those. In Giroud, an excellent header. Not sure how he scored it, to be honest. But it was a very to and fro game. It was really open. And I'm glad that Rennes give it a go because I think they deserve something out of it, to be honest. I thought they were a little bit unlucky. But it wasn't because I don't think they played overly well. I just think Chelsea looked tired. That was it for me. Outside of the first half an hour, Chelsea were excellent. But as the game went on, particularly the second half, Chilwell looks like you just need to go get some kip. He looked shattered.
Yeah, exactly. And Rennes scoring burnt a lot of teams. Yeah. I know, yeah, like Cameron, if his limitless wild card had have paid off, if like he had clicked confirm, he had a triple Chelsea defense. That's how confident a lot of people were in this defense. I'm not saying Cameron was wrong. He was right to be that confident in the defense, but they did just look really tired. And against Tottenham on the weekend, like this upcoming weekend, I think they just needed to rest a couple of players, but it's good that they're getting qualification. Like they have qualified, and yeah, like it's good to get that under the bag. They can maybe rotate in the upcoming games as a result of that. So good stuff on Chelsea. Moving on to Lazio 3, Zenit 1. Immobile back. I mean,
back with a bang.
Yeah, 2 goals and 13 points in the end. I think this is because like what we've said through all of these shows, we're kind of like Lazio are so unpredictable. They're either going to absolutely just collapse and draw against these lower teams, but then they'll beat Dortmund. Like you just don't know which Lazio are going to turn up. The right one turned up this game. They've got Dortmund next, and I think Dortmund will win this time around, but I think Lazio are making a good account of themselves on their return to the Champions League. And
Immobile makes all the difference. They look a different team when he's there. Totally different team.
Mm-hmm. It's like the system is tailored to him.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a Southampton where it's the system. That's why they did so good without fans. The system that they play, it's just ingrained in the players and it's just done for the players to excel. I think Immobile, it's just all built for him because we've seen him not perform well in other teams. It's just all tailored towards him, and he's one of the best strikers in this system.
Barrios showing why he's worth $4.5 million in the game. Really bad pen to give away. Didn't have a good game anyway. Got yellow carded as well. It was a bad night for him. Bad night for Zenit, other than Zuba, who finally scored, I think, first time since 2018 in the Champions League. He's just been dropped from the Russian squad. So maybe a goal at the right time.
Yeah, overall good game. It makes the next week's game, Dortmund-Lazio, very exciting because neither of these teams can afford to rest any players. We know that, at least for now, that they're going to field a full-strength team, which will help out for next week. Moving on to another game, which some people say was a shock.
I'd just like to say that I said 2-1 at Atalanta, so I was nearly there.
Yeah, so Liverpool 0, Atalanta 2. Liverpool did not have a single shot on target through this whole game, which is absolute madness. I think it just shows that Atalanta just came with a game plan and were able to just stifle it. Because Salah is always going to just shoot on sight. He's just one of them players where he gets the opportunity, he's just going to have a crack at it. But I just wasn't expecting Liverpool to kind of flop as badly as they did. Really, really happy that Atalanta got a result. I think it kind of, and this is the game that I was referencing at the start, when the Champions League exposes that the commentators don't have a clue about other leagues, at least the English commentators, because I don't know who the commentators were. I think it was actually Steve McManaman.
McManaman, yeah.
He was like, I was listening, because I don't have BT Sport, but I was listening to the radio commentary.
Yeah.
And even on there, they were like, wow, this Alejandro Gomez, he's like such a good player. His dribbling ability is crazy. Like, this is the first time I've been able to see it. I'm just like, how can you go into a game without doing all this research if I'm going to have to talk about it for the next 2 hours? Like, I just don't understand that as a commentator, but I'm sure they were going in just expecting Liverpool to
Win. They
win
saw 5-0
comfortably.
in the first game and thought, well, that's that done. But Atlanta were missing so many players. And we said this before, right? We said this on the previous podcast. Daruna's back. He will shore things up in the middle. Romero's back. He will shore things at the back. Galini is back in goal. That's the spine of their team that Liverpool just ran through in the first game. And then obviously Klopp drops Jota, Firmino, and did he drop Mane? Did Mane play?
Mane played, yeah.
Mane played. Sorry. So he dropped Firmino and Jota, where I think you've got to play one of them. They link things. Or at least play Taki Minamino, because Origi did nothing. Origi was really poor. Not that he had much to feed on. I think they struggled without Robertson overlapping. The left back did nothing. Nico Williams at right back was okay, but again, he couldn't really get beyond the back three and beyond Gosens. Obviously, they all just switch off for Gosens' goal. Had to go to Gosens. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? So, match day 4 and it finally happens. But yeah, Alejandro Gomez, like, he plays the ball in the Hatterpod, but he's also got the assist for our boy Ilicic. I mean, someone asked me if they should put Ilicic in the team, and I went, "Oh no, don't." He's playing rubbish, and his manager doesn't even like him, and he gets started, which is just, I don't know what's going on, but he repairs the faith. And Ilicic had a good game. He had a few shots off target from distance, but looks like he's getting back into it, and I think he's probably a better buy now than any other Atalanta midfielder or forward. I still think Gosens and Hatterbar are the way to go, though, particularly Gosens, which is why I'm ecstatic that I've got Hatterbar.
Yeah, they've got Midtjylland next, and they have to field a strong team because that group is blown wide open now. And knowing that Liverpool Ajax, that is a huge, huge game now. And I don't know whether Klopp just thought it was too easy, because surely whoever feeds the information to Klopp, like, I know they have a lot of injuries, but whoever fed that information needs a talking to, because
I think the issue is that they played the Sunday night game and then they've got this, like, which is ridiculous to then play this game, because they've got loads of injuries, and what is he meant to do? But I still think, and I think what they've done is went, look, Leicester are flying high. We need to play a strong team here. We're going to have Salah still anyway for Atalanta, and we've just beat them 5-0. So, and we're at home. I can see where the decisions came from to rest and rotate players, and I think the issue is it's too many all at once. But half of that isn't Klopp's fault, because, like, it's not his decision to rotate the right back. They don't have Trent. They've got to rotate between Milner and Williams. So it's really tough for them at the minute. And if they come away with anything at the end of the season, it's such an amazing effort from that group of players, because
I agree.
Up against it. And without the captain as well, we've talked about Jordan Henderson's importance. Really missed him in this game. Liverpool had the edge over Atalanta in the first game because Liverpool were able to field a stronger team. Atalanta had the edge in this one, and invariably the team with the edge came away with the W's each time. So it is what it is. No panic. I think Klopp will now look to probably rest a bit more in the Prem.
Mm-hmm. And I think they've got the advantage as well, knowing that, like, it's still in Liverpool's hands. They have to face Midtjylland.
Yeah.
If it all does go bad against Ajax and Atalanta have to face each other, and Liverpool have Midtjylland. Like, if it does all go really, really bad, it's still in their hands, even if Ajax and Atalanta win the next game. Because one of the, like, even if they drew, Liverpool have the goal advantage head-to-head against Atalanta, and depending on the Ajax game next week, but they beat Ajax 1-0. So it really just depends on, I don't know, does it go on goal difference or head-to-head in this? I'm not sure.
I thought it went on head-to-head. But that's what I've always thought it was head-to-head.
Yeah, so they're always going to have the head-to-head advantage over Atalanta if there's a draw. And if there isn't, Liverpool beat Midtjylland and finish second. Job done. With all the injuries, I think they would take that, to be fair. I think the main thing is getting through. And with that goal difference with Atalanta, even if everything does go bad, I mean, I don't mean to disrespect Midtjylland, but
No, that's fine. They're out. They're done.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't think that Liverpool are the worst. I don't think that they'll still. I think they'll still beat them, if that makes sense. Yeah. Overall, good result for our boys, Atalanta. Whoop. Moving on through these last few games, Man City 1, Olympiacos 0. Foden's goal was brilliant, but Man City still have a bit of gelling to do, and they've qualified. They've got Porto next, but I'm still not sure whether they'll play a full-strength team because of how bad they're doing in the league, of catching up and stuff. So we'll see how that goes.
Gundogan will play, and that's all that I care about.
Yeah, get Gundogan in your teams.
This was the Phil Foden show. He was the best player on the pitch by a country mile. Sterling played well, and not a score from a free kick. Got the assist for Foden. Gundogan missed the target when he should have smashed it into the goal, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, Gabriel Jesus missed a one-on-one that he should have been rolling at the bottom corner. It's not good enough from world-class strikers, some of the finishing going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you train every week and you got a one-on-one and you're hitting it at the goalkeeper. It's not good enough, especially with no fans there. When it's not like there's loads of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really disappointing at the minute.
I think it just opens the door for Aguero to come back. And you
yeah, exactly.
Like, this was the chance. Like, Aguero has 1 year left on his contract. Like, this is his last year. This is your chance to stamp your authority so that Man City in the summer don't have to go, right, we need to look for a striker. Like, Gabriel Jesus should be going, no, I am the striker. You need a backup for me. But he's just not that type of player, is he? He's just not. He's just not that ruthless
mentality.
Yeah, and so I think Man City are going to have to buy a striker coming up. Even if Aguero gets re-injured, I think as soon as January, they'll probably have to go for another striker. But it really just depends on the market, because I think they need to patch up a few more areas first.
Yeah.
Sevilla 2, Krasnodar 1. I know I'm reading them in reverse order, but Sevilla not keeping a clean sheet again, burning a lot of people. Both of them have qualified, though, Sevilla and Chelsea. And so I don't think they're bothered. They were just focused on getting through. It's going to be interesting to see who does finish top out of the two. Couldn't call it right now. To be fair, I think as that game against the two teams showed last time, it's going to be tight. I think they're very evenly matched, although Chelsea are getting all of their best players back. So I think they're in a better place. But what did you think of this?
Dominant from Sevilla first half. Ocampos, best player on the pitch. Rakitic, that was another worldie. That's what I was thinking of on the volley. Mm-hmm. Smashed it. Bottom corner. Wonderful goal. He's class, him, isn't he?
Yeah, he got 20 points over the last 2 games. 7 million, owned by 3% of players. So well done for those who have him in.
But what was really nice to see was Koundé having a great game, because he's stopped one on the line. He's nearly stopped the goal on the line with his thigh, and he's done well not to handball it, to be honest, because a lot of players will instinctively just stick an arm out with that. He's nearly got a goal because he was playing it right back. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. Him and Ocampos down the right-hand side were excellent in the first half. Ocampos less so in the second half, but Koundé was consistently brilliant throughout the game. Krasnodar just turned the heat up on them, and ultimately Sevilla are very lucky that Meunier scored an excellent goal to give them a 2-1 win. I'm going to say Chelsea will finish top, because I think even if Sevilla and Chelsea draw, I can't see Sevilla beating Chelsea. I think it'll be a draw, Chelsea win, probably a draw, because the head-to-heads will all be the same for Chelsea and Sevilla. Then I think it goes to goal difference, and Chelsea have got way more. They'll be Krasnodar 4-0.
Yeah, I think so. I think Chelsea are definitely in the better place, but Paris Saint-Germain 1, Leipzig 0.
Robbed.
Paris Saint-Germain defending for their lives. Leipzig were the better team.
Never a pen. It was never a penalty.
Yeah.
In a month of Sundays, it was a dive. What is VAR doing? It's there. Like, use it. If you've got it and you want to ruin all our lives with it, at least you use it. Book Di Maria for diving. And you don't have to book him, just at least overturn the decision. Neymar, I thought the keeper should have done better, should have saved it. And from then on, it was just attack versus defense, really. But what I will say, it was really good defending from PSG. Leipzig struggled so much to break them down, compact. And then in the second half, PSG had a couple of chances to hit them on the break. Didn't really work out. I was just very, very surprised not to see Moise Kean start. Very, very surprised. But I think it was the only thing they could do, because obviously outside of Mbappe, Neymar, Di Maria, they were a little inferior to Leipzig because of all the injuries and suspensions. Obviously, they've still got Marquinhos. They've still got some class players, but we've spoken before about how important Verratti is. And then without Idrissa Gana Gueye, Kimpembe, these sorts of players, Draxler, who was excellent for them at the start of the season, was one of their better players, and amongst others that aren't playing, Kera, who's been playing a lot, injured. So for them to get through this with a 1-0 win is absolutely perfect, and a really, really good job well done for them. And that the second place in that group is just anyone's. It's up for grab for either of them. And it's just really nicely poised that PSG won, although I probably would have preferred Leipzig to win. And I don't think PSG deserved to win because they didn't deserve to score. I thought a draw was a fair result in that game because it was never a penalty.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's just whoever can beat Istanbul the most now.
Yeah. Or Man United. They've both got Man United and they've both got Istanbul. So
yeah, like it's still not finished in that group. Like I don't think Istanbul will pull off any more shock results. I think there's too much to play for. But Man United need a draw. But I think on their day, both of these teams can beat Man United.
Yep.
But then again, on Man United's day, they can beat any of these.
They have beaten both of these teams. So
exactly, it's going to be a very exciting finish. And I think this is also a group to target attacking wise for game week 6. I think that's key now, is figuring out who's at risk of rotation. Like Man City, I would avoid completely now, except for Gundogan, because you just don't know who they're going to play. And unless they have an early kickoff, you've just got no way of knowing, because I don't know how much they're going to put attention into Porto. I don't know. I don't mean to backtrack onto another team we've just talked about, but I think it's going to be PSG and Leipzig are going to be teams that we could probably target with confidence, especially like Neymar, Mbappe against Istanbul again. But
yeah,
see how that goes. On to the next game, Ajax 3, Midtjylland 1. Again, another clean sheet that didn't happen, but overall, good performance by Ajax, and that opens up this group really, really nicely for the last 2 games.
Yeah, just a big shout out to Gravenberch for an unbelievable first goal, 18-year-old as well. Absolute class. Labiad nearly scored. Oh, so close. He should have scored, but the keeper has pulled off a great save. Onana, so close to saving the penalty as well, which would have been terrific if he gets a clean sheet and that penalty save. So close, yet so far. But absolutely nothing to say, because this is exactly what we expect. And if anything, Ajax have just let us down by conceding twice against Midtjylland when Atalanta and Liverpool managed to keep clean sheets.
Yeah, exactly. On to the next one, Porto 2, Marseille 0. I think this is a team that we could target with defenders. Overall, out of all of the players this game week, Sanusi, I hope that's pronounced right, 14 points this game week, 1% owned.
Wow.
So well played for the group of teams that had him in. Clean sheet, goals scored, and 6 ball recoveries. So
Incredible.
well done. But they seem to be a team that you could target, like their goalkeeper, for example. Probably not against City, but game week 6, again, could be a team that could do well, even though both of them are qualified. Yeah. And just kind of see how that goes, really.
Oliveira with another penalty. Just if you need a budget player, just get him in. Just get. Yeah. We've said it before. We'll see it again. Oliveira, get him in.
Mm-hmm. On to the last game, clean sheets that did happen. 2 good defenses. Lokomotiv Moscow, difficult to break down, but Atletico Madrid should have done better. They kept a clean sheet as well, so I guess it's good for those who brought in Jimenez. Due to his price drop. He's got 18 points in 2 game weeks that he's played for 4.9.
Fantastic.
So like that's why he's such a good option to bring in. And All Black backled amongst the clean sheets, and he had a price drop as well. But
Yep.
it's disappointing.
Boring
for
game
Atletico.
other than that, wasn't it?
Yeah, disappointing for Atletico Madrid because they're like that group is not sorted. Like Atletico Madrid could lose twice, and any of the other two could go up depending on the result of that game. And I think it's Bayern Munich versus Atletico Madrid next, isn't it?
Yep.
So exciting times.
Yep.
That's all from this game week.
Yeah, that's everything done. Just so many games to go through. It wasn't the most exciting of weeks, to be honest. I found a bit of fatigue this week trying to watch the games because just less excited. Fans not being there is hurting it, and so much rotation. And it's not the teams' fault. They need to do it because of the ridiculous scheduling, which again is no one's fault. But COVID's, and I just think that's affecting A, the quality of the football, but B, like match day 4, there shouldn't be this much rotation. It's usually 5 and 6. Usually sound for 4, but it's just, it's got to be done, unfortunately. But yeah, everyone, thank you so much for listening. Follow us on Twitter at UCL Fantasy Pod. Nearly forgot our own Twitter handle there. And of course, we're on YouTube. Spotify is the main event, so like and subscribe to that. Aaron, thank you so much for jumping on as ever, and we'll see you all for the next one for our Match Day 5 preview show. Take care now. Bye.